So I was listening to a podcast and they covered Carrie. And after listening to it, I got this huge desire to watch the first one. And when the first one ended, I saw that the second one, which I have not seen since theaters, was on Prime. So I threw that on and I watched both of them. And I don't really have any desire to watch the other two readaptations of the Stephen King novel right now because they're both very, very similar to this original, and I just don't feel like watching the same film again. So all right. So this movie just has bullying straight out the gate. Oh my goodness, it gets right to it. Although I should say, first we get tons of TNA, lots and lots of boobage. We get to see most of our main characters here. Nancy Allen, oh my good God, what a beautiful woman she was. And she is, wow, those scenes in the shower, man. Even Sissy Spacek, everyone looks good with their clothes off in this movie, so we get to see a lot. I don't know how many movies start with opening boobs and bush like this movie, but a lot. It's a ton of naked women. And women, because everyone in this movie is at least 25 years old. And even one of the students, the girl from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles and all this, you're fucked. That girl, the bus, or what is she? She's a car rental agent. Yeah, right? She's in this. And I looked her up, and I want to say she was like 31 or 32, and she's supposed to be playing like a 17-year-old girl. But everyone, William Katt, John Travolta, all of them are like in their mid-20s. So this was back when they were really casting much older people. I feel like nowadays we see proper aged high schoolers in films. And wow, the cast of this movie, Sissy Spacek, which, honestly, I never really watched a lot of Sissy Spacek movies. And recently I watched the Castle Rock show, and her performance in that was absolutely amazing. And I thought about it, and I was like, I don't really feel like I've seen a ton of Sissy Spacek stuff, like film-wise. And, I saw her in Bloodline because I watched pretty much every Netflix series. But I was like going through my mind of everything, and I was surprised to remember that I had not seen pretty much anything that she's ever done. And when I went online, I found out she's been nominated for Best Actress 5 times, this being one of them, Carrie. I was blown away by that. I was like, holy shit, Sissy Spacek is a really, really well-regarded actress. And I don't know why I'm unfamiliar with this information here. She's always just Carrie to me. And I really never looked into her career outside of that. In all the movies she was nominated for, I'd never seen a single one of them. So I guess that's probably why. So this is Brian De Palma's flick here. I want to say this is his first movie. Now, I think something that doesn't get talked about enough with Stephen King is that Stephen King owes a lot to movies. Like, a good majority of this country and other countries, but especially this one, don't read. And so when I watch his career, I feel like, when I look back on his career, I feel like a big majority of why he became so popular is because of film. You had this, and then you had The Shining, and then you had, like, and you look back on his career, he got overly popular because of film. It's weird, and I don't feel like that's been given enough credit. I know he shits on some of the films, especially The Shining, which is ridiculous to me, but I get it. That's not the story. That he felt like Jack wasn't portrayed properly and this and that. He can't disconnect himself from the story. And if anyone is going to have that excuse, I would think it would be the writer of the story. But the films are more synonymous with his name than his books a lot of the times, because, as I said, a lot of people don't read. So it's interesting that an author became as popular as he did off of movies. I'm not saying his books didn't make him popular, but if it wasn't for the movies, if it wasn't like if Brian De Palma didn't make Carrie well, if it was a shitty movie, I don't think we'd have the Stephen King we have today. If Kubrick didn't make The Shining as good as it is, I don't think we'd have the Stephen King that we have today. I don't think he would have been as popularized as he was without the film, is what I'm getting at. So I think that even though he may not like The Shining as a film, I think he needs to respect what it did for his career. Not saying that he wouldn't have been a well-received author and that he wouldn't have had a good career and he wouldn't have been an amazing writer, blah, blah, blah. He would have. But this is added success, and I think exponentially. I think it made him, because he's the most well-known author, like, ever, literally. So it's because he's crossed so many mediums in that way. Anyway, all right, I just wanted to talk about that for a minute. I feel like I stepped over, just kept reiterating the same thing, but I do feel like he needs to give more credit to the film. Maybe he does, and I haven't seen it, but his name is as synonymous with films as it is with novels, if not more. So yeah, Carrie, in this scene, in the shower scene, Carrie knows nothing about menstrual cycles, as you know. And in that moment, she straight up thinks she's dying. And I was reading that the way he wanted her to play that is if she was just like hit by a car. And watching it like that, I really got that from it. She's running up terrified. She's like, help me, I'm dying. And if you were dying and you needed help and people were not helping you, imagine that. Imagine if you were hit by a car and you like got up off the road and you were bleeding to death and you ran up to people and you were like, help me. And they were just laughing and throwing things at you. You would be so confused. And Carrie's already very abnormal. She's very, she has issues talking with people. She's very introverted because of her mother, because of everything. So she already struggles in that way. And now she's screaming for help and no one's helping her. And living in the house that she does. Now, when I watch these scenes of the abuse at the house, the outright fucking mental, physical, all that abuse, I always wonder if these kids, if they could see what Carrie was going through, if they could get a glimpse into her life, would they treat her like this anymore? We always have these kids in school that have all these horrible problems going on at the house, and then everyone picks on them as the weirdo, the loser, the fucking outcast. And it's like, if you could see what was happening, would you think less of them, or would you have pity on them and maybe, hey, be nice to them and make their life at school better? Bullying is a tough one for me. I had bullying everywhere in my life when I was a kid. So when I watch this kind of stuff, it resonates very much. Being bullied at school and then going home and you don't feel like you have a safe spot. Like some people, they go home and they feel good and then they go to school and they're bullied. Or they are bullied at home and then they go and they have a safe spot where their friends are cool with them and this and that. Carrie didn't have either. Carrie came to school and she was the loser. And everyone picked on her and everyone said shit about her. And then she went home and she was picked on and bullied. Like, there was just no winning with her. Every part of her aspects of her life sucked. The psycho music in this is silly. It's very silly. And we were doing homages well before recently. A lot of people, we just rip off old films and this and that. We do it here as well. Okay? It is clearly the psycho music when Carrie gets upset and it's I don't know, it's jarring. I don't like it. Like when the kid comes like, creepy Carrie, like, I don't know, the music is super silly. So I kind of laughed when I heard it. It's just so clearly the psycho music. When the teacher here is talking to the principal about it and he's so uncomfortable with the period blood on her clothes, he's just like, oh, like anything to make this go away, and then he can't even get Carrie's name right. Ugh, this guy sucks. But yeah, it's just typical male behavior, especially back then. Her mom is a door-to-door religious, I don't know, not a salesman, but she's pushing religion door to door. Extremes are always bad. This is something I talk about in my own life all the time. Extremes. Never live in extremes. Anything too much and even too little is good. We got to strike a balance between anything. You want to be a religious person? That's fine. But it's when you start to incorporate every single aspect of your life and you have to incorporate religion into it, that's when it becomes an issue. Like, balance. Find that nice balance. Obviously, Carrie's mom is way out of balance here. She is just religious in every cell of her body. And, it makes her insane and abusive towards her daughter. And then the mom, yeah, I mean, the abuse here with her mom. I know that Piper Laurie thought that this was a comedy. And she still says to this day that she views it as a black comedy because her performance and her character is so fucking ridiculous that she just cannot take it seriously. And it's like, I understand where she's coming from, but if you've met people like this, they are so ridiculous that you can't help but laugh. It's funny. It reminds me of Melissa Gay Harden. What's her name? Yeah, the actress in The Mist. That character. It's funny. It's scary, but it's realistic. It's realistic to some of the nutcases that act like that. And in this movie, yes, it's dark comedy. It also reminds me of I, Tonya, her mother in that. She's so awful, you can't help but laugh because that's such insane behavior that the only real response you can have to that is getting extremely angry, which I choose not to do, or you can laugh. You make a joke of it and just like, that's too much. Your brain can't even process it. It's so ridiculous. And so Carrie starts, I think, in the book, because I did read this book, in the book, Carrie has powers, they're starting to come on when she's a kid, and she has the meteors happen, this and that. They don't get into that in this movie. I think they do that in some of the other remakes. I'm not going to cover the remakes right now, or the re-adaptations, should I say. Just because they're too similar and I don't feel like watching the same film over and over. But in this one, she's starting to get control of her powers because she's went through her period, and now she goes home, she breaks the mirror, and then when her mom comes in, it's completely reassembled with only a few cracks through it. So she actually put the mirror back together. So she must have had serious control of her powers by that point. She must be fully aware of her powers because she can't break a mirror and then have it like float back up and reassemble onto the mirror without realizing how powerful her powers are. She just keeps them in check. Maybe she doesn't understand them. I don't know. The teacher in this is Cheswick from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I love that guy. He's great. Reminds me of Ernest Borgnine in Escape from New York as Cabby. Just that over the top, always positive. He isn't in this movie, but that's the way his attitude is. I love that guy's acting in this. And oh man, PJ Souls is adorable in this movie. I know she was only brought on to the movie for she was only supposed to be in it for like a minute. She was only supposed to be there for a couple days on set, but Brian De Palma liked the way she hit someone with her hat or something, and so he kept her in the movie. Her outfit, she's always wearing a hat no matter what, and she has these really short baby bangs, and she wears overalls. Adorable. PJ Souls is totally the chick that I would have went after looks-wise in this movie. Even though Nancy Allen probably is the prettiest girl in this movie, she is gorgeous, no doubt. But PJ rocks the style that I would be into. And the teacher, I liked how the teacher really pushes these bullies and makes them learn a lesson. But Nancy Allen is not gonna be listening to that bullshit. And in fact, although she will go and have her boyfriend drink and drive and domestically abuse her. I mean, how many times does fucking John Travolta hit her in this movie? Holy shit, she gets slapped around a lot, but she's slapping him back. Their relationship is fucked. It reminds me of every typical abusive relationship in high school where the guy's hitting a girl and then she's like she's hurt little girl in the corner for a minute and then she slides over and she starts like kissing on him and this and that. And then she's like, she blows him in this movie and he either has the smallest dick or she has no idea what she's doing because she talks completely clearly when she's sucking his dick, supposedly. She's down there blowing him. He's like, oh my God. And she's like, I need you to do something for me. And she's talking like nothing is in her mouth. So I don't know how tiny he is, but even if he was super, super tiny, she'd still have to be sucking. So I'm not sure what she's doing down there. I guess maybe she's giving him a handy and licking. I don't know. We don't get to see it, but I just thought that was funny that she's talking just like nothing. Oh, so the teacher goes and she confronts Carrie, and she goes to console Carrie, and Carrie's like, I was asked out by this cutest guy, and she's like, but I know he's up to something, and then the teacher's like, but maybe he's not, and she's all on her side and like buying into it and convincing Carrie that maybe he is, instead of being like, I guess that would be a hard thing to handle. But then she goes immediately behind Carrie's back, talks to Sue and her boyfriend, and is like, what are you doing? Something's not right here. Like, she totally sells Carrie this total bullshit lie that, hey, yeah, he might be into you. You never know. And then goes right over to him and is like, what the fuck? You would never be into this girl. Tell her the truth. Leave her alone immediately. So it's pretty funny when you watch it. They cut right back to back, and it's like, so you didn't mean a damn thing that you said to Carrie. Weird thing about this movie, I don't know, this obviously was true at one point, but you're not allowed to go stag to the prom. She says you can't go if you don't have a date. The teacher says it. That's weird. You're not allowed to go to the prom if you don't have a date? Wow, that's harsh. I'm guessing back then you weren't allowed to go with a man if you were a man, right? You're not allowed to go with two guys. That's not accepted. Two girls. So did they have an equal amount of women to men? Like, how could you not go stag if there's 20 more women than men? I don't know. When she said that, I was like, how would that even feasibly work? Just off those pretenses alone. I don't know. So I never went to prom, so I don't know what the rules were. But she said if you can't go, unless you have a date. Is that right? Is that true? That doesn't make any sense. What if you have 50 more girls? It's weird. All right. I like how when she's asking her mom, or telling her mom, basically, like, I'm going to go to this prom, her mom throws tea in her face, and Carrie barely even misses a beat. She's so used to being bullied, so used to her mom's ridiculous reactions, that when she throws the fucking tea in her face, she's, like, startled for, like, half a second, but then just goes back to completely normal conversation with her mom. Because she's just like, everyday kind of shit. This guy's out there talking shit about how he's going to kill this pig so fast. And then he's like, I can't do it, man. I can't do it. So Travolta just grabs it, goes over, and just no hesitation at all. This guy is got something off in his head. And like the guy goes up to the kid and he's like, yeah, I'm going to collect ballots, okay? And he's like, can you be there at 5? And he's like, no, I'm going to be there at 8. And it's like, okay, fuck, man. I can't with bullies. But then PJ Souls and him go and they collect all the ballots and then they throw them away. But PJ Souls, I want to say, was already on the committee, right? I guess she goes around and collects from women and then he goes around and collects from men. Like, I don't know if they were gonna rig it anyways, and they were just gonna throw away all the ballads and have them in there. I don't know. Maybe she did the same thing, but I saw that and I was like, "What? Why didn't PJ Souls just do it on her own?" But maybe I guess there had to be more people. I don't know. And the sped up dialogue during the tuxedo scene is very weird. It's very weird and it's very out of place. There's a moment where it just speeds up dialogue really fast for no reason, then stops and goes back to normal, and then the scene ends. It's really fucking weird, and I don't understand its purpose. It's a totally normal sequence. It's not made for comedic purposes. It's not because the conversation's going on too long. I actually like the conversation of the tuxedo stuff. I don't get why it's sped up. I don't understand that, but okay. Carrie's mom says that she knew her dress would be red, but it's pink. But then Carrie comes home and it's covered in blood and it is red. Carrie has the ability to move things with her mind. She has telekinesis. Does her mom have some ability to see the future, maybe? I don't know. She says they're all going to laugh at you. Although I feel like Carrie perceives them all as laughing at her. While when you first see it, none of them are really laughing but PJ Souls and a couple of the people who were in on it. And maybe some laugh, but she sees it as everyone's laughing at her. And the guy that's standing next to PJ Souls and his date, they don't think it's funny at all. They think it's horrible. And they're looking at her like, what the fuck are you doing laughing at this? This is awful. And so she starts playing, they're all going to laugh at you in her mind. And then she sees and perceives them all as laughing at her, when I don't think that's the truth. But then they have reactions where they pull themselves out of their laughter when doors start closing and things start getting thrown around. So I don't know. I don't know how many of them are laughing. I don't know how much of that's in her head versus how much. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to take from that. But yeah, I'm curious. Does her mom have any powers of being able to tell what's going to happen? Powers of perception towards what's going to happen in the future? I don't know. I love the line about the dirty pillows. I used that line growing up. Dirty pillows for tits. I've always been a fan of that. I think it's fucking hilarious. They're all going to laugh at you. This is something that is synonymous with the Adam Sandler CD. Anybody grow up in around my time probably had that album. I can't even remember what that... Is that the name of the album? They're all going to laugh at you? I can't remember what the name of that album is, but there's a skit in there with They're All Gonna Laugh at You. That voice, that mom. You'll know what it is if you've heard it. And when they go to the prom, the first song we hear is a song with the lyrics, "The devil's got a hold of your soul." Little premonition here of things to come, I guess. And I love that, guys. PJ Souls' character, she just wears a hat at all times. She's wearing it. She's full on prom dress, full on prom hair, and then the hat over the hair. That's her thing. Always wearing the hat. You would think she would get bullied for that, but because she's popular, I guess she gets to get away from it. I like that Carrie's mom hurts herself for sympathy. She's actually like abusing herself. That's such a typical thing that abusive people do. People who like to manipulate you, they'll do it anything they can to try to get sympathy, anything. And her mom like beating herself up, ripping at herself, all that stuff. Typical behavior. So I like that. I like where Piper takes that character. Carrie actually looks pretty damn attractive at the prom. I thought she looked pretty adorable. The dance scene between her and her date there, unbelievably dizzying. I had to look away from the screen. It was awful, and I read that they were getting dizzy too. It was making me sick. I couldn't look at it. And telling her she's beautiful and then even kissing her on the lips, I felt was a little far. I get where he's going, but Carrie's starting to have feelings for this guy. Now, this dude is a good guy. Like, he is a good guy through and throughout this entire flick. And it's such a shame what happens. Like when the blood hits her, he's so not in on it. He's like, what the fuck was that? The bucket comes down and knocks him out. He's just, yeah, I mean, he's a total victim in all of this. In fact, most of them are. That's what I don't like about this movie when it comes to her revenge. She doesn't just come after the people who deserve it. She kills what I want to say is 73 people, according to the sequel. 73 people in the fire. So 73 people, how many of those people were responsible for bullying her? Responsible for what's going on in that gymnasium? She could have came after Nancy Allen, John Travolta, PJ Souls, that other guy. She doesn't know everything and everyone laughing at her. She wants them dead. But her teacher definitely was on her side. Her date was on her side. So, and a bunch of people in there didn't deserve it. In fact, I don't think any of them deserve to die. I don't think anything that happens in this movie deserves death. They threw tampons at her and they covered her in pig's blood at the prom to embarrass her. Death is extremely over the top reaction, but it's, you know, it's fine for the film. It's just, there was nothing done in this film that I felt like John Travolta or Nancy Allen's or any of these characters deserve to die. You know, it's pretty light stuff. I love this the shot of the fire like erupting behind her. Fantastic. The prom revenge in this movie is like the big thing. It's so short. On rewatch, I was shocked at how fast it was. I thought she did way more stuff. I thought this went on for much longer. I thought she was going to be throwing people and things were going to be exploding and things were... No. It is seriously under a minute. It's like 45 seconds. She like lights things on fire. She closes the doors. Things fall over. People fall over tables. And then she walks out the front of it as the building burns behind her. That's it. I couldn't believe that. I could not believe how fast that sequence went. I was like, holy shit, it's already over? Okay, so the prom revenge, which is what everyone thinks of when they think of this movie, is 2 seconds. That was there. I can never snap with this hand. Look at that. Nothing. Ugh, that's terrible. That hand, good. This hand, and that's my right hand. This is my strong hand. Trust me, it's real strong. I like the way she turns around when Chris is coming at her and she flips the car. Like the way she looks when she turns. Brian De Palma uses some really cool camera techniques in here in that way. And outside of the music, which is really stupid, I like the look of her turning. That's actually probably one of the scariest shots in the movie. And then Carrie comes home and takes a bath. A bath? Really? Soaked in blood? A shower would seem like you would just want to sit there in the blood as the water. Like, shower. I don't know. I thought that was silly. The mom's hiding behind her door the entire time. So her mom's hiding behind her door when she comes in the room. Then she just continues to hide there as Carrie takes a long bath, getting all the blood off of herself, then going and getting dressed and brushing out her hair and everything. They come out, and then her mom reveals herself from behind the door. Her mom just stood behind that door the entire time. She was back there for what? A half an hour? Did she run up there when Carrie freaking came in the house, or was she there when she left? Has she been there all damn night? I don't know. Her mom's fucking creepy, so maybe. She stabs her mom so many fucking times with so many things, including one of them being a freaking icing spatula. She got an icing spatula to go through her mom's body. Holy shit, that thing must have been traveling at a high velocity. It wasn't. We see it go slowly into her, but that thing is so dull. The whole house collapses into itself and it starts burning from the inside, and they go into Carrie's little timeout cubby, and I guess, you know, that's where she spent most of her time, and that's where she's going to spend the rest of eternity, is in her little timeout area where she has her little statue. It's not Jesus, it's another saint, I want to say, or something. I don't know. I'm not a very religious person, but I know that's not Jesus. And there's a really weird line in this where Sue's mom, now this might have taken place during her dream because when the hand comes out of the ground, that is a dream, which is actually a really great shot. And the way the music is and the way the shot is, it's actually very unsettling. And when she wakes up and she's like screaming, love it. Great sequence. Great ending. I'm not usually big into like the fake out endings and the dream stuff, but the way it's done, it's freaky, so it works. But the doctor, when Sue's mom's on the phone, the doctor says that she's young enough that she won't remember it. Like eventually she'll forget it. She's 17, 18 years old. She's not going to remember. Well, fucking shit. What don't you remember from when you were 17, 18 years old, 18 years of age? That was such a weird line. He's acting like she's 5. And according to the sequel, which we'll get to here in a minute, I mean, in a different video, but I'm going to do it here pretty quick, is that Sue remembers every damn thing. It was a really odd line. I was like, a 17, 18-year-old girl isn't going to remember that her fucking classmate burned down her school, killing her boyfriend and everyone she knows? Pretty sure she's going to remember that. If she was 3, maybe. She's almost 20. What the fuck are you talking about? That was such a dumb line. So, yeah. I like that Carrie's for sale sign on the rubble is like a cross. Yes, it's a dream, so I don't know if this is actually how it is. And then people written like Carrie burns in hell. It has a line down there. It was like, oh man, her mom tried to keep her from hell, and all she did was keep her She didn't keep her from doing it. She eventually made her part of why Carrie went nuts and killed everyone. And then they eventually, if there is a hell, Carrie's probably burning there because she definitely didn't do anything to earn her ticket into heaven with that move. But yeah, Carrie, good revisit. Not a perfect movie, not absolutely amazing, but a really cool movie. With just incredible performances and great direction. It's all about the style. It's all about the casting. It's all about that stuff because the story is extremely simplistic. There's a overly religious, bullied girl who gets asked to prom. She goes to prom. She freaks out because there's a prank done to her. She kills everyone. She goes home, kills her mom. The end. It's extremely simplistic. It's Stephen King's first novel. It's very short. It's told from the perspective of Sue recounting what has happened. It's an extremely short book and it's an extremely small plot movie, but it's all about the style, the music, the acting, and all of that stuff lands, and that's why it is the first Stephen King classic and the first Stephen King movie. So he had a hit right out the gate. Anyways, let's move on to part 2.